We've made it to Lef, famous for its blonde beer, but we're here for a different reason. Lying in the city of Dinan, Lef sits on the banks of the River Meuse. In the spring of 1940, the 5th and 7th Panzer Division crossed this river. There's one man who played a key role, Erwin Rommel. We've met up with Olivier, a local tour guide, to tell us more.
So here we are in the ruins of the castle of Poilvache, and we are just above the crossing point in the north of Rommel. So an overview of the situation. On the 10th of May, it's the beginning of the invasion. The two panzer divisions with the 7th of Rommel came from Saint-Vith toward the river Meuse, and they arrived. The first element arrived the 12th in the afternoon, first in Lef and a little shortly after in Ivoire.
It's great to be here. Obviously done a little bit of reading about the battle and obviously a few first-hand accounts, but actually to come and visit the site where it took place, you just can't beat, and I really can't wait to see what you've got to show us today. Descending from the medieval ruins and parapet of Poilvache Castle, we headed to Lef to learn more about one of those successful German crossing points on the morning of the 13th of May. Alex and I were keen to discover more about the 5th and 7th Panzer Division's crossing around Dinant, as today we'll be following in the tank tracks of one of the best known commanders of the Second World War, as Olivier tells us all about the birth of the legend of Erwin Rommel.
Here we are in Lef, near Dinant, in May 40. The first German soldiers who arrived towards the river Meuse was a soldier of General Rommel of the 7th Panzer Division, and Rommel advanced towards the Meuse with two battle groups. This one was commanded by Colonel von Bismarck. The advance of Rommel was very, very quick. Quicker than his colleague in the north, because Rommel was very dynamic and he pushed his soldiers to go fast to the Meuse.
You mentioned that Rommel was always ahead. Was that something that was becoming quite iconic for Rommel as a commander?
So Rommel was always with the vanguard on the road, or on the way of the main effort. And he was with his command car or inside the panzer. And it was the same here for the crossing of the Meuse, the assault on the 13th. Rommel was each time on the hot spot.
Having witnessed the German crossing points at Lef and the buildings which Rommel burned to create an impromptu smokescreen to protect his men as they crossed, we left the valley of Dinant and headed high above the east bank. Standing isolated and alone on these heights overlooking the German bridgehead is the old farm building of Viette, which provided an ideal headquarters for Rommel's 7th Panzer Division. Olivier was keen to tell us more about its use, as well as the disjointed and confused nature of the fighting on the west bank on the 14th of May.
We are now in near the farm of Viette, so on the crest between Dinan and Poilvache, the ruins of Poilvache on the next crest. This place is a very exceptional location to see the landscape and to see the bridgehead. A perfect position for HQ, but it was not during the crossing, because here, I said it was an artillery position. But after the crossing, after the conquest of Onhaye on the crest, Rommel, or his division, installed here his headquarters. Rommel was already with the vanguard, the first soldier of his division. So he slept a few hours here between the 13th and the 14th. During the advance, each division had 1 or 2 headquarter location per day.
Departing from Rommel's HQ, we headed to the picturesque village of Hoy-le-Wastier, which saw plenty of fierce fighting with the Germans advance westwards. The remnants of some of this battle damage can still be seen today. One place that Olivier had been keen to show us was the excellent little museum which focused on the Battle of the Meuse. It houses a fantastic array of equipment, weaponry and battle dress from this time period. One particular exhibit which I've been fascinated to see was this original German rubber dinghy that was precisely like the ones used by German forces that had crossed the Meuse under fire, and the many other waterways that confronted them as they pushed through Belgium and France in the summer of 1940. Provided at every turn of our journey with unending picturesque views of this stunning landscape around Nantes, we visited the rocky outcrops of the castle of Crevecoeur, which was no doubt used by the defenders and bore witness to these ferocious events that took place at this southern crossing point.
Yes, so we are here on the western bank, on the French position in the beginning of the fighting. Rommel crossed not with the first boat, but very quick after the first boat of the second waves, and he arrived in Bouvines. But it was very hard. The fighting in Bouvines was very hard, very intense, with probably a lot of casualties. And the French company here of the 66th Regiment died in Bouvines or just in the small valley in my back. So very courageous French defenders here.
Rommel, as a tactical leader, what's his next trail of thought after crossing the river?
So during the night, one regiment of Rommel here from Bouvines infiltrated toward Onhaye, so the next on the next crest, and it's the real key point in this area, because after Onhaye you have a very open area, very better for the use of panzer units. So in the morning, the division of Rommel is ready for the next attack. It's a very big difference with his colleague in the north. Of course, in the north, the French resistance was more powerful, more counterattacks and reaction. But here, Rommel understood, here there is a weakness, and here I can pierce the French disposal.
Our day concluded around the village of Oy. This was one of the furthest expansions of the German bridgehead on the afternoon of the 14th of May 1940. It was also here on this spot that, due to some form of radio miscommunication and misunderstanding, that the burgeoning legend of Rommel almost came to a close, with Rommel finding himself directly in the crosshairs of the enemy guns.
We are here in Onhaye. It's the end of the breakthrough after the crossing on the River Meuse, the end of the first French disposal. And Rommel was always with the spearhead of the division. During the night between the 13th and the 14th, the regiment of von Bismarck, Rifle Regiment, infiltrated from Bouvines toward Onhaye. It's a key point. And in the morning, von Bismarck was just after the wood with 2 battalions. He sent a message to Rommel, to the headquarters of the division. Yes, we arrived near Onhaye, and the operator in the headquarters heard or understood we are surrounded, encircled near Onhaye. So Rommel in the headquarters organized a rescue operation with the first tanks, with the first panzer at the side of the river, 30 panzers, and he came immediately along the same road, the same infiltration route, and he arrived after the wood here. So the idea, the intent of Rommel was bypassing a maneuver to the north. When the panzers of Rommel, and Rommel was with the commander of his regiment, Rothenburg, with the first tanks, arrived at the end of the road, the French army fired with heavy artillery. And Rommel, the panzers with Rommel were surprised. They tried to drive faster, but as you can see, there is some slopes and some depression with sand, and they were surprised by the slope. So the panzers of Rommel went at the bottom of the ravine, and it stayed blocked with a problem. The turret was towards the ground, so it was not possible to counterattack. But Rommel was lucky because von Rothenburg followed the same way but have no problem with his Panzer. And he had some smoke pots, and also some assets were set afire by the French fire. So a lot of smoke, and Rommel could escape to the wood. So in the wood there was the command car of Rommel, and the attack was a success, but after a very hard fighting in oil.
So again, it's just showing what kind of character this guy had. He was.
Yes. So Rommel had a very hard character, and also he was very lucky during the whole career. But for Rommel, sometimes it was too dangerous.
Yeah.
So his commander, General Ott, was not very happy when Rommel was always with the first unit.
Olivier, thank you for today. It's been absolutely terrific. Obviously, thank you from both of us here at Wellwoods Nation. To be honest, I absolutely loved following Rommel's routes and obviously learning more about the crossings.
We hope you found this episode insightful. Make sure you like and subscribe to World War II Nation for the latest episode of Hitler's invasion of the West. The next episode will be coming soon.